mental health is something that we don't talk about enough. In the black community, well, we're massively overrepresented in the mental health institutions, even more so than in the prisons. And again, these are questions we have to ask. Well, why?
But once you get a control and an understanding of who you are, no one can use you against you. No one can ever use your mental illness against you. You've already spoke about it, so what you got?
The biggest point in life to resolve mental health is like giving a fuck about a person.
Where did you get the courage? I got the courage. The 2 words. I care.
It's Chill Will Radio, where connections will be made, advice will be given, jokes will be told, and things will get real. My name is Willis Cooks, and I'm your host. But understand this show is not meant to be used as a substitute for a relationship with a licensed mental health professional. Enjoy the show, y'all. Yo, what's the deal? I almost did not hit the unmute button, and I was finna start talking for a while without nobody being able to hear me, but I got it in check, got it in order. How's everyone doing, man? I hope everyone's doing fine. I hope everyone's doing swell. I hope everyone's doing all good, man. It's Sunday, another fabulous episode of Chill World Radio, man. Still in the studio again. Shout out to my man Didier back there with the Mickey Mouse shirt on, man. Always want to make sure I give props to this guy, man. I always try to, if you have someone consistent within your circle, man, hold on to them, man. Hold on to them, even when they get on your nerves, because Didier pissing me off sometimes. But if you have someone consistent within your circle, hold on to them, because consistency is a very underrated thing. Especially when it comes to friends, especially when it comes to people in your life, right? A lot of times we don't take consistency serious. We need to make sure we have someone that's consistent within the work they're providing you, within the role that they are playing within your life. Make sure they're consistent in the fact that they're telling you the truth. They're consistent in whatever it is they're providing to you. Having someone that is consistent within that type of, thing within your life is a dope thing. Really, really dope. So major shouts out to Didier for being consistent and just coming here, being consistently irritating, and just being consistent. And shouts out to the friends, shouts out to the homies that I got in my circle who are consistent, and look towards the people who you got in your circle that are consistent. Even if they're just consistent towards the thing that they're doing within their life. Right? They're consistent when it comes to their business. They're consistent when it comes to their kids. They're consistent when it comes to their job. They're just a consistent person. Consistency is a really, really difficult thing because we get bored a lot. Earlier, before the show, I was talking to Didier about boredom and how I get bored with everything extremely easy. And my friend Dante calls me a contrarian. I believe that's right. Calls me a contrarian because I purposely do things that everybody isn't doing. If everybody's going to go left, I'm going to go right. The reason why I never wore skinny jeans is because everybody wears skinny jeans. Part of the reason why I don't have no tattoos because everybody got tattoos at one point in time. Then I developed my own reasoning for not wanting certain things, but initially it's always I'm not doing something that everybody is doing because I'm gonna get bored. Right? Figure out some of the reasons why you get bored. Right? And make sure you stay away from those, because being bored, staying within a environment that you are bored in and just staying there just for the sake of staying there, that's a bad thing. That's how you start to not give a fuck. That's how you start to make mistakes. That's how you start to lose patience. That's how your workload starts to decrease. That's how a bunch of negative things start to happen, because you're just I don't really give a damn, So whatever you're bored in, or however long it takes you to get bored, or figure out what will make you get bored. Cut that out, right? Cut that out. But like I said, appreciate all those folks who are consistent within their lives, consistent with what they're doing, consistent with their passion, consistent with the work that is going on. Consistency is one thing that's been on my mind all week. How have I been consistent? In what areas within my life have I been consistent in? Where do I need to show consistency a little bit more? How can I show consistency a little bit more? And I think that popped up a lot in my head because of everything that's going on in the world, and because another shooting of someone else in Atlanta. Yeah, in Atlanta. Because another shooting in Atlanta popped up. And after watching Dave Chappelle 846, consistency was a word that popped up in my head. Because these killings, when it's between blacks and police, they're consistent, and they are consistently being shown, right? Because we have things within our lives that are consistent within a negative way, and they're consistent within a positive way, you know. And after listening to Dave Chappelle's show, it kind of strengthened my thought of like, yo, this shit is consistently happening. Okay, Willis, so what can you do to consistently combat it? What can you do to make sure that you're not taking your foot off the pedal? What can you do to make sure that you're not slowing down in the way that you're fighting the fight? In the way that you're being an activist? What are you doing, and how can you be consistent within the work? It's important that we don't try to do too much. It's important that I don't try to do too much. It's important that we or you don't try to do things that you're just not flat out ready for or meant to do or have no business doing. You got people trying to be leaders in which they don't need to be leaders at all. That does not make you less than a leader. That just means that you don't have the qualities to do it, and that's okay. There are some people who are not business minded, who are not entrepreneurial minded, but they are simply good at just, working that 9 to 5. Hey, more power to you. If that's you, have faith within your role. If your role is to only go to protest, if your role is to stick to only speaking about these things to the family, to your children, to your son, to your daughter, and to make sure what's going on in our household, holds weight and comes out a beautiful thing, stick to that. Stick to the road that you're in and make sure you're consistent. Let's not be inconsistent with a lot of these things, and that's what happens, right? We are super prideful and super in protest mode and super Black Lives Matters and super activism and super this and super anti-racist and all of these things for 2 weeks. After the 2 weeks, it is dead until the next thing happens. We're not consistent within our fight. We're not consistent within our passion. We're not consistent within the work that we are trying to do. Right? And I hate the fact that our struggles, the black struggles, has become a trend, has become the thing to kind of look towards in many different areas. It's not even just with racism. It's not even just with oppression. It's with everything. It's with our style. It's with our music. It's with the type of people we are. Hell, it's even with the girls that we mess with, yo. I'm not rocking with this chick because she make me bored, and I'm just using you for the sake of using you for this moment. And everything that we're doing is in and out, in and out, in and out. We need to find something within our lives to be consistent to be consistent at. Doesn't matter what it is. It don't. It does not matter. As long as the thing that you are being consistent at is productive, it is helping you out in whatever area you're in, it is providing you some type of comfort, some type of peace, some type of calmness. I don't know if that's a word, but it's providing you the things that you needed to provide for you in order to assist you with elevating your energy in whatever way you need to elevate it in. Cool. Stay consistent as that. And if that means that you do not need to be a part of the fight, that's cool too. Everybody don't need to be a part of the fight. Everybody don't need to jump in. Everybody doesn't need to do that. Everybody wasn't agreeing with Martin Luther King, and everybody did not agree with Malcolm X, and everybody was not a part of the civil rights movement. You do not have to be a part of the fight if you do not believe that. You can fully be consistent to it. But understand, your part of the fight does not need to be something that is external. It does not need to be something that is out there for the world to see. Your fight can be the fight within. If you are someone who has gone through some type of trauma in life, that is your own personal fight. That is the fight that you have to go through in order to make sure that you become a better person. Don't be out here fighting for all these things that's going on. Secretly, meanwhile, inside of your household, it's some BS. Don't be out here preaching non-violence. Meanwhile, you beating up your wife at the house. Don't be out here preaching all of this other things, but you're doing the complete opposite at home. If you do not believe that you could do that, focus on what's inside. That's the one thing I advocate for everybody to do. Focus on what's inside first. Focus on whatever trauma you need to get through first. Focus on whatever pain you need to get through. Focus on whatever relationship you need to fix. Because this movement was here before you, and it's going to be here after you. This movement ain't going nowhere. None of it. But you have to make sure that you're in the best mindset that you could possibly be in. You have to do that. If you're not in your best mindset, then hey, it's going to go to shit. You're going to provide a lot of negative things. And the intent may be positive. The intent may be good, but the work that is going to come from it may be bad. And it may strictly be because you're not taking care of what you need to take care of, which is yourself. Put yourself first. Put yourself first. Sometimes we have to do that. Do not let the super pro black people, because there are some super duper pro black people that are just too pro black for me. Like, nah. Don't let the super duper pro black people cause you to make you feel bad for taking a step back from the fight and caring for yourself. Don't do that. Because the movement got to die. The movement got to go to sleep at some point within your specific life. The movement has to end at some point within your specific life. There has to be a moment in time in which you take a step back from the movement. You don't need to be super duper pro black all the time. Take a step back and chill. Take care of your household first. Be consistent in the work that you're doing for yourself. I know that was a lot, but that's just something that's kind of been going through my head all week this week. Consistency. How can I be consistent within the fight? How can you define the fight? How can you define the fight for yourself? Everybody doesn't need to be out there fighting everybody's fight. And everybody can't fight the same fight. You know, you have different forms of fighting. You have different forms of martial arts. You have different forms of MMA, which is mixed martial arts. But you have different forms of everything. What works for you? Stick to that. Stay consistent within your role. Stay consistent within your fight. Stay consistent with the person that you're trying to be. Stick there. Worry about those small steps. Forget what's going. Don't worry about that long journey, that long haul. Worry about those small little steps that you have to take first in order to get to that place. In order to get to a mile, you got to take one step at a time. One step at a time. So, moving on forward into the self-care piece. This is something that I need to start back doing again. I used to do this a lot as a kid, and I guess that allowed me to gain certain wisdom at an early age. And as I've gotten older, I fell back from it a lot. I fell back from it a whole lot more. This is something that I definitely need to make sure I get back into. But for the self-care piece, one thing I want everybody to implement within their self-care piece, within their self-care regimen, speak to an elder. Speak to someone who is older than you. Sit down and have that conversation. Ask certain questions. Ask that person questions when it comes to their history, when it comes to their history, when it comes to how they was raised, when it comes to the things that they've been through. Sit there and ask that person some question when it comes to, your current struggles and how it relates to who they were at your age, when they were your age. These are the conversations that I used to have with some of the old folks in the hood growing up. That's what allowed me to look at people and be like, yo, I'm not trying to be like you, because you fucking up and all you gonna do is go to jail. That's what caused me to get that mindset. That's what caused me to understand the importance of learning from someone else's fuck-ups. Because you don't need the role model or the mentor in your life as long as you could be open to seeing that, hey, If you do this, you will go to jail. Cool. So that means I need to not do that so I don't go to jail. Right? Those are certain things that I was taught growing up. Right? From a lot of my old heads, a lot of the elders that I spoke to growing up in the hood. So every month, week, whatever it is, we all know somebody that's over 50, that's over 60. Talk to them. Talk to them. They are more than willing to give you the game, because you're gonna begin to realize that ain't shit change. In the grand scheme of things, nothing's really changing. Especially if you're someone who is struggling with your emotions within these specific times right now. If you're struggling with how to feel within these specific current events, talk to them. Ask them how they were able to get through it. Ask them how they were able to provide some type of cause to the struggle. How were they able to be an activist within their own life? How were they able to participate within the fight? Ask them that. Some of them may be like, I did this and I did that and I protested and I volunteered. Some other folks might have been like, nah, I ain't do shit. Them people crazy. I just minded my business and did what I had to do and make sure I stayed out the way. Because sometimes staying out the way is what you need to do in order to maintain your peace. But talk to those elders. Talk to some people in which you can get some game from. Some people in which you can get some wisdom from. Some people in which that is going to teach you. Not right from wrong, but teach you, what life would possibly be like if you were to do X, Y, Z. But make sure you are extremely open. If you're not open to these folks, and if you don't know how to just shut up and listen, well, learn how to just shut up and listen, right? So the self-care piece that I want everyone to implement within their self-care regimen: talk to an elder, converse with them, learn from them, ask them questions. They'll be more than willing to give you the game. You just got to open your mouth. All right. So moving on forward to the main topic. In thinking about what I was going to do for today's show, mind you, I already have like a list of topics for shows for like weeks to come. But for this show, I wanted to make sure that I spoke about how we move forward from trauma, right? 2 weeks ago, I believe it was like me and Jazz, we spoke about the current events. Last week, me and Tia, we spoke about parenting and how, they should teach their kids to have these conversations around racism. But this week, I want to speak about how to move forward from trauma. The only reason why I believe that's important is because within my sessions and within some of the conversations, a lot of people have been clueless in terms of how can they move forward. What is next? And it's not even just trauma from the current events, from the police brutality and everything. It could be trauma from people who are trying to adjust I don't want to say post-coronavirus, but post-stay-at-home order, right? Because now we can go to the bars. I went to the gym yesterday for the first time in like 3 months. Damn, that shit felt good. But post-stay-at-home order, right? Post whatever. What can I do in order to move forward? Because this year has rocked a lot of our lives. This year has changed a lot of people's perspective on many things. This year has caused a lot of people to become confused and how they feel. So one of the first things that I want people to do, want people to be mindful of when they're moving forward from their trauma, or even directly after their trauma, accept whatever feelings come your way. I've said that numerous times on previous shows, but I think I kind of skated over those. I want to make sure I dive into that at this moment. Accept those feelings. Accept the confusion. Accept the anger. Accept the sadness. Accept the happiness. Accept the fact that you just like, I don't know how to feel. Accept the grief. You may have lost someone within these times, within this coronavirus times. Accept the loss. Accept what came from it. Because one thing we have to be able to understand is that us trying to fight something that is not going to be able to change. Us trying to fight something that we don't have control over isn't going to do anything but cause us to be like hella anxious. It's not going to do anything but cause our anxiety to increase. It's going to be anxiety producing, trying to change something or trying to focus on something that's not going to change, that's already done. If you had someone within your life that died because of the coronavirus, sorry to hear that, but it's done. A person is gone. If you were extremely affected by what has went on within a police brutality right now, it is done. Hell, if you are still grieving over the loss of Kobe Bryant, it is done. We can't change it. And that's one thing that's one of the steps of grief and loss, right? It's bargaining and our lack of acceptance when it comes to letting go of something, right? Which is bargaining. But we have to just accept the fact what came is now on its way out of the door. When it comes to this whole coronavirus and the stay-at-home order, it's now on its way out of the door. Police brutality isn't on its way out of the door. The racism isn't on its way out of the door. It is still there, but we have to accept the feelings that have came from it because we don't want to fight those feelings. We're trying to avoid the feelings. When we're avoiding things, we're trying to stuff them. And when they come up, we're going to be angry. We're going to react a certain way. We're going to respond a certain way. We're not going to be our best self. That's what happens when we try to stuff our emotions, stuff that anger and that sadness and try to avoid them. When we try to when we start taking substances to hide them. Because that's all it is doing. When we're taking meth, pills, crack, weed, drinking alcohol, we ain't doing nothing but trying to avoid those emotions that are right there. Whether it's avoiding that guilt, that sadness, that pain, that trauma that we've been through as a child, we have to get to a point to where we are taking them head on. Straight to the face. Straight to the face, head on. If you are not able to do that, then you're never going to be able to move forward from the trauma. So on our way of moving forward from the trauma, healing from that trauma, we have to get to a place that we are accepting of whatever feeling comes from it. The confusion, be confused. It's okay. It's just a mixture of emotions and you don't know how to identify it. It's okay. But when you are able to identify, when you are able to say, man, I'm just fucking angry right now. I'm just fucking pissed off. Say that shit. If you pissed off and you angry, say that shit. If you're around a bunch of people that's trying to tell you like, no, don't be angry, like calm down, it's okay, fuck that. Be mad. Like for real, be mad, be hella mad. Take your shit out. Don't take it out on a specific person. Don't take it out in a way in which it's going to harm you, but get that shit out. Get that shit out. That's the problem with a lot of people nowadays. We keep all of this shit in. You have to accept whatever feeling comes from it. Whatever feelings come, anything. The anger, get that shit out. The sadness, get that shit out. Everybody be so strong, gonna be happy and hey, I'm blah, blah, blah. Fuck that. No, sometimes we need to be pissed off. Sometimes we need to be angry. Sometimes I just need to be sad. Sometimes I just need to cry. It's important that you get it out. And if we try to mask that anger and that sadness with acting like we happy or acting like everything cool, we gonna go home when it's just me and those four walls in that pitch black room. I'm gonna cry. I'm gonna get pissed off. I'm not gonna go to sleep because my mind is gonna be going back and forth because I was not able to get those feelings and those emotions out. So when it comes to moving forward from this, accept those feelings that come with it. Accept the anger, accept the sadness, accept the confusion, accept the I don't know, that I don't know how I feel. Accept it all because they're going to be there. All right. The other thing that you need to make sure you do after you've accepted that is that you just get up and start moving. Because you don't want to accept the anger and then just sit in it. You don't want to accept the pain and just sit in it. You don't want to accept the sadness and just sit in it. accept whatever is coming, but get up and move. Get up and go do something. Right? Get up, go volunteer, especially if you're one of, and I've been getting this question a lot from a lot of my white folks and a lot of my white peers, like, yo, how can I help? And I don't know how to have a conversation and blah, blah, blah. I'm getting tired of that question, yo. I understand you may be having some type of challenge when it comes to your sense of being helpful, right? But you need to make sure you challenge your sense of helplessness. Go volunteer. Go to a march. Go have a conversation. Don't ask me, how can I help? And then I tell you to go have a conversation, and then you say, oh, you're not going to go have that conversation because you don't feel comfortable about it. Now you're just trying to be nosy. If you're asking me for something and I'm giving you ideas, go do something. Challenge your sense of helplessness. Challenge the fact that you don't feel as if you can't do anything. So you do that by getting up and moving. Go volunteer. Go do something. Go give something away. Whatever it is, just get up and move. But now that we are in this kind of post stay-at-home order, also get back to the work that you were previously doing. Get back to that routine. Get back to that gym. Get back to whatever it is. Create that routine, because a lot of us picked up negative habits within this, like 3 months, 3.5 months. A lot of us picked up negative habits. A lot of us gained weight. I ain't gained no weight, but but a lot of us gained weight. A lot of us fell off on certain goals and certain things that we needed to do. A lot of our like yearly checklists and things I was supposed to have done by this time just fell off because I've been at home and nothing is open and I'm not able to do that and blah, 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 blah. Now you don't have no excuse. Things may not be open to its fullest capacity, but things are starting to open up. Figure out what routine you need to get back into. Just get up and move. Because after you accept those feelings, you need to get up and make sure you don't sit within those feelings. Sitting within those feelings is a very dangerous thing, because now your mind is going to wander. Now your mind is going to wander. A lot of the people who I speak to who have suicidal thoughts, their suicidal thoughts are the strongest when they just chilling. When they just sitting there not doing nothing, looking at the TV, looking at the wall, or their brain just starts to think of a lot of negative shit, of a lot of dangerous things. And now they're just like, well, I might kill myself. I might cut myself. I might do this, because they want to get away from that feeling that they're sitting in. So now these ideations are coming up. These suicidal ideations, these ideas of self-harming, because they're just sitting in their shit. That's how anger kind of boils, and now we just get up and we just do something reckless because we're just sitting in our shit. Soon enough, that shit, you're not going to be able to smell it. So get up and move. Get up and do something after you've accepted it. But the other thing you want to make sure you do is be intentional about the moves that you do make. Don't just be doing stuff for the sake of doing it. Don't just be doing stuff for the sake of doing it. Don't just go out there and I'm doing this just because. Nah, do it because you're trying to get something out of it. And if you're even sure, if you're not sure if you're going to like or dislike whatever you're trying to do, be open to it though. Be open with everything that comes from it. I'm not the type of person to go out to protest. I don't do that because being around all of those people makes me very, very anxious. So I do the work that I do in other areas. But if you're the one that's going to the protest and someone is convincing you to, and someone is giving you the idea, okay, hey, just be open to actually doing it. Make sure you are intentional about the moves that you are making. Make sure you are intentional about how you're getting out of this trauma. Make sure you're intentional about how you are going to move forward from all of this. How are you going to be a better activist? How are you going to be a better person? How are you going to assist yourself more often? How are you going to perform better forms of self-care? How are you going to be a better Didier? How am I going to be a better Willis? What am I going to do to make sure that post-trauma, post-whatever, if I do come across something like this, it won't affect me as bad. It won't affect me as bad. So the question question I want everybody to kind of sit with is ask yourself, what is your own personal mission? What's your own mission? Right? What is your own mission? What is the one thing that you're always going to be working towards? What is the one thing you want to be defined as? If someone could say Willis is something, what would Willis be? If Didier is something, what would Didier want to be? You know? What is your own personal mission? Define that and start there. Build your work. Build your life's work around that. If your own personal mission is just to be the best father, be the best brother, be whatever, cool, but work your ass towards it. All right. So to everyone that's listening, tuning in, and all that good stuff, good looking. As always, don't forget, ain't no wealth without your mental health. So please stay blessed and take care of yourself. Be great, y'all. Peace.